People that don't tip at restaurants are fucking assholes. I don't care what spiel you give me about, the restaurants should pay them more. Bro, they're not gonna pay them more just because you don't tip someone.
Do not bring the tipping culture to South Korea.
Tipping in the United States has gotten out of control.
Tipping is getting out of hand.
Amazing viewer, glad to have you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Yes, I'm back. It's been a minute. Yeah, I'm back. I appreciate you having support for my content. I can't take for granted the fact that you are supporting me. And for my newest subscribers, thank you. Welcome back. Welcome. I appreciate that you have subscribed and you coming back to watch my videos. Once again, I came across this video on TikTok on my For You page, and I said, why not share it with you? People complaining of the tipping culture, and while others are supporting it. So right here, we will be looking at some people who are sharing their experiences with tipping and how far it has gone, and more particularly in the US, where things are getting out of hand and people are tired of this tipping stuff, you know. And yeah, there's so many questions that they're bringing up here. Don't forget to leave your opinion. I'm so glad that you are leaving me your thoughts, and I will be happy to read from you. Let's dive into it. But before then, guys, I have a question for you. This is something that I've been getting a lot from so many people. Is tipping done voluntarily, or should it be imposed on people? What's your opinion on that?
So this question is for Americans only. Do you tip when you get takeout?
So we just picked up Thai food, okay? Now Frankie's mad at me because we picked it up.
You're f***ing broke ass.
So
can't tip
you don't
people.
tip on when you pick up food, you don't tip, okay?
Dude, I don't care. I've been going to that restaurant twice a week for the last 10 years, and I always fucking tip on pickup.
So it was like 80 some bucks. He's like, give 10 bucks. I'm not giving 10 bucks
No,
on.
I always
What
give
did
them a
they
nice
do?
tip
What did
because they know my name. If someone has the decency to remember my name at a restaurant, I always tip.
Let me just say, tipping culture is out of control. Everywhere asks for a tip now. Like, fucking paramedics are gonna give you CPR and then ask you for a tip. And because of that, in the last 2 or 3 years or so, I've had to draw a line where I will or will not tip. And some professions are grandfathered in. Like, I always tip waiters. I always tip valet. I always tip the guy that delivers my Zaza. But if I have to go to a restaurant to pick up my order, then no. It's the same reason why I don't tip when I eat at McDonald's. Like, it's takeout. It doesn't get a tip.
Society says, don't tip these guys over here, but tip these guys over here. That's bullshit.
And yes, I feel guilty about this sometimes, but like, you have to draw a line somewhere. And see, the dude on the right here, he's upset because he feels socially pressured. And I don't think people should be socially pressured to tip, because the burden of paying an employee a living wage should not be directly placed on the customer. Like, am I wrong? I don't know. What do you think?
Tipping culture is a scam. Stop doing it. Let them do their job.
As the owner of 3 restaurants, let me dive into this a little bit, because a lot of people, and I see a lot of the comments on this particular video, that people believe that we're scamming them. They're letting restaurant owners get away with stuff. So here's the thing. This is how businesses run. Either you do the tipping culture where you have the freedom and the consumer has the choice of how much my staff member deserves to get paid in this regard, or you can make me do it, which, let's say I do $15, $20 an hour for my bartenders and servers. Now, that $6 Bud Light is $12, and I am forcing you to pay them what they need to be paid. So rather incentivize them to do a good job with the tipping culture, I'm just telling you how much you're gonna pay them. So tipping culture is a good thing, I promise you.
So I go to Ben & Jerry's yesterday, and I just wanted a cone. Just wanted a nice, fresh, warm cone. So I walk over to the counter, and I was like, hi, can I just have a waffle cone? And she was like, yeah, sure, here you go. That'll be $2. So I was like, okay. I go to put my card in, and of course, the tipping screen comes up. And I was like, I didn't say this out loud, but in my head I was like, I'm not tipping you on a cone. You literally just handed me a cone. And I'm also like, the percentages were insane. I was like, I'm not tipping you $1 on a $2 cone that you just handed me. I'm not. So she hands me my cone. I put my card in. It gives me like, how much do you want to tip? I hit no tip. And the cashier goes to my face, to my actual face. Like, on no planet is that ever appropriate. Even if I got $100 worth of ice cream and I don't tip you, you can't to the customer. On top of that, Miss Girl, what were you expecting I tipped you to hand me a cone? There wasn't even a service being exchanged. It was an exchange, it was a transaction. It wasn't even an act of service.
That's weird. It's asking me to tip. What? Tip what?
Do you know what the minimum wage is in Los Angeles? 17 And you want me to tip on top of that? I go to John and Vinny's, my favorite Italian restaurant in Los Angeles. They add an 18% surcharge on top of the bill. Then it says tip. Not included in the 18% we already tacked on.
You gotta put on another?
You want me to tip another 20%?
That's like 50%?
Now, on top of the fact that you charge me $27 for a fucking piece of pizza? My tipping is very specific. If there's a level of service involved, like there's an actual human who says hello to you, delivers you a drink, like a server, they get 20%. If you make me a coffee at Starbucks, you get nothing.
Oh,
$0 You made me a coffee, bro. That, by the way, I paid $9 for.
And they're probably
and it was
now the self-checkout robots are doing. Do you want to add a tip? Who are you tipping?
Well, the robots.
The robots need tips.
How do you know what's going on in their lives?
Little baby robots.
That's what I'm saying.
At home need to eat.
Yeah, maybe they have a fucking cheating ass husband or abusive robot spouse.
Tipping in the United States has gotten out of control. Just finished dinner in Italy, had a great 3-course meal, paid the bill, the waiter brings out the check and goes, sign here, please. I go to sign it and there's only a line to sign your name. There's no tip line, there's no total line, nothing. You just sign your name, that's it. Meanwhile, in America, you pay for a water bottle and they flip the screen around and ask you to tip 20 to 30% for grabbing a water bottle. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy to tip for great dinner service. Like this guy in Italy deserved a fat tip, but to tip for a Starbucks employee to hand me a water bottle, like where do we draw the line? Seriously.
If you don't have money to tip your server and you go out to eat and don't tip your server, I have zero respect for you.
Paint me out to be the villain here because I'm not. I'm just gonna share my opinion. I've never been a server, but I never would because I know the nonsense that they have to deal with on a daily basis and I know I cannot manage it. I automatically respect someone who was or is a server. However, we need to stop blaming the customers and calling them cheap and stingy just because they don't tip, because tipping is not mandatory. It is a choice. 98% of the time when I go out to eat, I tip because my service is at least good. It just has to be good in order for you to get a tip. If your service is bad to the point where I don't want to come back, I'm not giving you a tip. But it is not the customer's job to pay your wage. We need to be taking this up with companies who are not paying their staff enough money. Tipping culture has gone insane in America. A lot of places nowadays add the gratuity to your receipt, so you don't even have the choice to choose how much you want to tip if you want to tip. Blame the wage makers, not the customers.
I think we can all agree that tipping culture has gotten completely out of control, at least here in America. Watch what happens when this guy goes to a self-checkout kiosk at the airport to try and purchase this bottle of water. Now remember, there's no employees at the counter here. All by yourself.
Do you expect tips just because it says it now every time?
We want to expect the tips because we want
So
tips.
if you do something right here and you don't say I tipped you digitally, you don't know.
Really interesting. I thought like the other person was judging if I press like no tip or...
If they are judging you, they should not because they literally can't see.
A lot of people aren't used to tipping for quick services. Do you think that you guys deserve it?
For the most part, yeah. Paying for not just the stuff that you're getting, but also the experience.
How do you feel about those screens?
I don't necessarily like it myself. I feel like it puts pressure on the consumer for no reason. Like for instance, if I'll go to a little store around here, grab a drink or something, and then they flip the screen, it's like asking for a tip. For what?
You really want to show like an act of kindness, something that like speaks beyond words. Cash tip is a little better way to say that.
They are happy to give, they are happy to tip.
Guys, tipping culture is insane. I went to buy one singular macaroon, £1.70. I thought not bad. Went to tap my card, £1, £2.50, £5 for a tip. I looked at him, I was like, you can't be serious. Like, I'm not tipping you, mate. All you did was hand it over to me. I didn't even ask you a question or anything. So I take no thank you. And he literally rolled his eyes and scoffed at me. Bro, let's be real for a second. Why do you feel so entitled for a tip? We're in the UK, first of all. Didn't do anything, second of all. And yeah, I think we should just calm down. Let's just come back to earth. I know we're in a cost of living crisis, but I am also in that crisis with you.
Do not bring the tipping culture to South Korea. Hi, I'm Marianne and I talk about cultural differences. So I've seen a video a while ago where a creator visiting South Korea was leaving some money as a tip on the table and just leaving the restaurant. She did this in a few places and the workers would all rush out with the money to give it back. And she would refuse, saying, 아니에요, 팁이에요, it's a tip. And now this left some workers very confused. Some others were insisting on giving the money back. I think some just accepted because she kept refusing to take it back. And watching this made me feel quite uncomfortable because A, tipping is not the culture here. B, the amount she was tipping was like 1,000 won and some coins, which is a bit weird to offer as a thank you. If someone in Korea really wanted to show gratitude or leave a tip, they would do it. They would give at least 10,000 won. And lastly, I was a bit annoyed because she seemed so proud of herself and some of the comments were like, oh girl, you're so sweet, you're so thoughtful. I think a lot of Koreans, if they watched this video, would find this behavior strange and weird and annoying, to be honest. In fact, Koreans are actually very sensitive about tipping becoming a culture here because foreigners started doing it when they visit South Korea. For example, a very popular bagel cafe called London Bagel Museum is receiving a lot of criticism and hateful comments on their Instagram for having a tipping box by the till. The note in the glass box says, if you liked London Bagel Museum, please tip, something like that, in English. And apparently other cafes have started copying that, so it's made a lot of Koreans very uncomfortable. And also it's actually illegal to ask for tips in Korea because the service fee and the tax is already included in the menu. And a lot of Koreans are also saying, okay, so if we weren't happy with the service, do we get the money back? So it's really a no-no in Korea. So if you're from a country where tipping is very common, and I understand it might be awkward to leave the restaurant without giving a tip, Koreans would also find it uncomfortable and awkward if you insisted on tipping. But if you really wanted to do it, you just had to tip, then I'd suggest that you do it in secret and give a reasonable amount. I would say at least, so it looks like this, not this. This is actually quite insulting. If I were working in a restaurant and somebody gave me this as a tip, no. If you're feeling really generous, then usually this is the 50,000.
At this point, it should be very necessary for us to go back into history and know why was the tipping culture there at the first place. What was the intention? What was it meant for?
1 in 11 American workers currently works in restaurants. 1 in 2 Americans has worked in the industry at some point in their lifetime, and yet it continues to be the absolute lowest paying employer in the United States. Turns out that tipping as a practice originated in feudal Europe. It was something that aristocrats and nobles gave to serfs and vassals, but always on top of a wage. When the idea came to the States, the restaurant lobby demanded the right to hire newly freed slaves, mostly black women, not pay them anything, and have them live entirely on this new idea that had just come from Europe called a tip. And so there was a mutation of that point from tipping as an extra or a bonus to tipping as the wage itself.
That was it about this video. Don't forget to leave me your thoughts. Kindly subscribe to the channel, share the video, like, comment, subscribe. Until we meet again, goodbye for now. Thank you for spending your precious time with me as usual. I appreciate it. Thank you.